Hi everyone, welcome. I am Nivedita and in today's video let us see how to prepare for UPSC Mains GS paper 2. So to give you a brief background, I had secured 113 in GS paper 2 in UPSC 2022 and I used certain tips and techniques while my answer writing. In this video let us discuss this along with that the resources and the book list that I used for GS paper 2. So if you look into the syllabus, the first portion, that is from the Indian Constitution till here, the quasi-judicial bodies, the static portion of this syllabus will get covered from Lakshmikant. So most of the chapters, that is chapter 1st, 3rd, 10th, 11th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 33rd and part 7 etc. Most of the chapters will cover. Anyway, you have studied that for prelims, study that even for mains. Then all the dynamic aspects that will cover from the monthly magazines. I use the Vision IAS monthly magazine. You can use any coaching institute's monthly magazines and read the polity and governance aspects. For example, here the functions and responsibilities of union and the states, issues, challenges. So the challenges between the union and the states, you will constantly hear it from news. So you can also cover it from the Hindu newspaper. There will be articles now and again that there is clash between the governor and the chief minister or between the center and certain states regarding water distribution or some other issues etc. So you can keep those examples handy so that you can mention it in the paper. Also read the Mains 365 which gets released few months before the actual mains. In that also the Indian Constitution will get covered from the polity and governance part. And there is one more thing, that is the amendments. Here the amendments and bills. So every constitutional amendment, any act, you have to cover it. So the best source for this is a website called as PRS India. So for example, recently there was the child marriage amendment bill. So just type child marriage amendment bill and type PRS India and you will open the link of PRS India. And in this there is a portion here, the PRS bill summary. So this is the portion that you have to read. So the main contents of the bill you will get from here. So download this. This will be helpful even for prelims as well as mains of GS2. So then you have to identify what are the problems with this bill and what are the suggested measures that you would suggest. So the problems will usually be covered in the newspapers. So in Hindu especially, the editorial column will usually have the challenges present in the particular bills. You also can cover it from the monthly magazines. Then you find out what are the measures, suggested measures to better the particular bill. So keep that handy and make your own notes. Before jumping into the syllabus, let us discuss few points. In GS2 answer paper, as much as possible, try to include articles, amendments, data, Supreme Court cases, committees, and examples in every answer because it will give more weightage to your answer. Also try to write your answers from this perspective, that is at dimensions: social, economical, political, diplomatic, etc. That is, if they are asking any international relations between India, Sri Lanka, write from these dimensions, that is social perspective, economic perspective, political dimensions, so like that. Also try to include way forward in your answers. So make a list of committees. In way forward, instead of writing your own recommendations, it will give more weightage to your answer if you add the recommendations of various committees. So if the question is about police or any issues with Indian police, it is better to write the Malimat committee said so and so in your way forward. Just write 1 or 2 lines, that will be enough. Similarly, about protection of women in workforce, if the question comes regarding that, because these are general topics, because women, usually there is a question either in GS paper 1 or paper 2. So just mention what law commission has told. Similarly for others also, for elections, anything regarding elections, you can use the Indrajit Gupta committee report. So follow this. Similarly also make a list of Supreme Court cases. recent cases whichever is present in news and drop it here and there in the answer, so the examiner will be aware that you are aware of the current affairs that is happening about the developments in the Supreme Court. So if there is any question regarding hate speech or regarding religion, you can just mention Amish Devgan case. Similarly, for anything regarding death penalty, if the question comes, then just mention the Bachchan Singh case, Machi Singh case. Coming to the next portion in the syllabus, there is the government policies and interventions of development in various sectors, issues, their design and implementation from here till here. So basically, first one is the government policies. The government policies you can cover from the monthly magazines. Whatever new policies come, for example, the national education policy, policy on millets, etc., it will get covered in your monthly current affairs. So read the same for even here and identify if there are any challenges present, which is also covered in the monthly magazine as well as newspaper, and suggest measures for improvement of these policies and have a conclusion. Then the next comes is role of NGOs. You have to know these keywords: NGOs, self-help groups, associations, donors, charities, institutions, and other stakeholders. So for this portion, you have to prepare your own notes. So what you do is just go to Google and just type UPSC Mains GS2 and type the keyword. For example, here this is NGO, and whatever documents you get of UPSC related, read some 4 documents and you prepare your notes. So basically in each of this you should know what is the definition, what is an NGO, the definition you should know. Then you should also know certain examples of NGOs that are present, like in different fields, NGOs that are working towards education, NGOs that are working towards senior citizens or towards healthcare, etc., or pets. So all these examples you should know. What are the issues that are present with NGOs? Are there any challenges? What are the measures that you will suggest for improvement of this NGOs? And a conclusion. And if the NGOs, particularly if they are in news recently, make a note of that and keep and make your own notes. So along with the notes, also prepare like a separate short notes which you can refer just before the exam, because the GS paper 2 is in the afternoon session. So you have just completed the morning session. Then before entering the hall, you should be in that mode of writing the GS2 paper. So have a short crisp notes which you can read quickly. This is my notes that I had prepared. I had just to read this before the exam. So I had just mentioned examples, issues of civil society organizations. Similarly for NGOs also I created, and for pressure groups, what are the issues associated with pressure groups, and even other organizations, farmers organizations, etc. So make our own notes for this portion. So coming to the welfare schemes also will get covered from the monthly current affairs. Or one more thing what you can do is, when you read the news, I used to listen to the Sunset TV News at 9 program. So that time they will just mention that this scheme was passed or this act is passed by Rajya Sabha. Take a note and just make a list of all the schemes that are passed, all the bills that are passed. Then after you have done with that, when you are studying, just Google that scheme, know the features of that scheme, what are the issues, what are the issues that are present with that scheme, what are the measures that you would suggest for addressing these issues, and a conclusion. So in this way, for every particular scheme, especially the important schemes that are present, you have to do the note. So coming to the next portion of the syllabus, that is from here to here. The first one is you have to identify all the keywords present in this. That is, for example, here there is health, education, human resources, issues regarding poverty and hunger, So in this one you have to prepare your own notes. Basically you can create any Google Doc, and at the beginning when you're starting to study, just mention these main headings, and whenever you get any data, any news schemes or policies, any acts regarding any of these, you have to include it there. For example, if you consider health, if Ayushman Bharat is in news, include it under that. Or if there is some national digital health mission, include it under that. This is the my notes which I had prepared. So here if you see, I created like this. So if there is any new data this report had released, so whatever was present, just write it down. Similarly, and if there is any challenges, for example here challenges in healthcare, I've included it there. So prepare your own notes. COVID-19 was in the news regarding that. Antimicrobial resistance was in news. So whenever you're reading newspaper, anything regarding, so you should be knowing the syllabus by heart, all the keywords present in syllabus, so that whenever you're reading certain news, you know that this comes under this particular topic. So similarly, trans fats comes under health. So if there was any news regarding trans fats, you have to add it here. So this is one method where I had created all the news articles, data, diagrams, etc. for each of these topics, that is health, education. This is what was for education. You can also prepare certain predefined introductions and conclusions, so that if it is some general question regarding health, or if it is some general question regarding education, you can just, even if you are not getting any other conclusions for that, if you have such predefined conclusions, you can just write it there. The conclusions can have any way forward committee's recommendations, you can write in the conclusion. Or you can write some quotes, or you can end with some data. If you can't match exactly to the demand of the question, if it is like a general question on health or education or poverty, you can write such quotes also in the conclusions. So similarly, you prepare notes for every one of these topics. You can also Google it, like hunger, UPSC, GS2 Mains. So whatever coaching institutes data you get, even that one also you can use for this. Similarly, even for governance, transparency, accountability, governance, and even for the role of civil services and democracy, you have to prepare your own notes. So basically, even for this, any topics regarding transparency, for example, if there is RTI in the news or Lokpal in the news, all these institutions were created for ensuring transparency and accountability in government. So any such topics regarding this, you have to add it in your own notes, so which you can refer it at the end. Also, if you're finding this a little difficult, you can also write this in Google. Just type role of civil services and democracy and type UPSC Mains GS2. So whatever documents you get, even read from those documents as well. Then even from the monthly magazines, these portions, topics will be given, whatever is present in news. So you can cover it from there also. So this is my notes, how I had done. This does not have everything, but just few important things which was forgetful. So I had written it here. So under e-governance, transparency, Lokpal, so whatever was in news about Lokpal, I added it here. Similarly, RTI and dilution of that, electoral bond scheme, citizens charter, and enforcement directorate, because enforcement directorate also again created for ensuring transparency and accountability. So even such topics come under this. Similarly, the role of civil services in democracy. First, learn the static portion of that, that is origin of civil services, what is their role in democracy. Then also study if there are any recent improvements done for this, any news regarding this, also add it in your own notes. Also include various committee recommendations. So whenever you're writing way forward or suggested measures, instead of suggesting your own measures, it is always better to write some committee's recommendations. So make a list of all the committees for various topics in GS2 and use these committees wherever possible. And one more thing that you have to do is the ARC report. Download the ARC reports and see what are the recommendations made by in the ARC report for different topics. Make a list of all this. So in every answer, wherever you're suggesting certain measures for improvement, it is better to recommend these ARC committees recommendations. Also some other committees recommendations also will be better there. So do that. So this will cover this portion of the syllabus. So next is India and neighborhood relations. Coming to the last portion of the syllabus, that is the international relations, this topics. Here basically first one is India and its neighborhood relations. So every neighboring country of India, be it Sri Lanka, Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, any of these neighboring countries, one is you should have a diagram. So basically if they are asking anything regarding India and Sri Lanka, quickly draw a South India's map. You need not even draw the entire India map, just South India you can draw and mark Sri Lanka and mark the important places that are in use. For example, Katchativo Island, just mark where is Katchativo Island. Park Strait, just mark. So the examiner, before reading your answer, he knows that you are aware about the current developments that are going on with these countries. So any neighborhood countries, first is you should have a diagram. Then also have the introduction, conclusion. So in introduction, basically any recent new development that has happened. If they are specifically asking about a particular topic, then you have to mention that particular topic in the introduction. But if they are generally asking, you can mention any new recent development that is between India and this country. You can write that in the introduction. Or any recent data also regarding any reports also you can also write in the introduction. So do this for all the neighboring countries. Also for the developed and developing countries. So developed countries, USA, Russia, all these countries you should also know the cooperation with India. So whenever you can also make your own notes. So for all of these countries, divide your answers again. What is the political cooperation that is happening? What is the cultural cooperation? What is the economic cooperation? So each of these countries, make your notes in this way. So this is my notes that I had done. So India, Pakistan, what is the Pakistan's crisis? Way forward, conclusion. Then even for China. So make your own notes. Say the historic ties between both these countries, the economic ties between both these countries. So do that for every particular country, not every country, all the neighborhood countries and important developed countries. And when you're seeing it Africa, you can see Africa as a whole and just identify relations with the countries that are in news recently with which India has certain ties. So do that. Then if there are any new international groupings or institutions, for example Quad was formed or G20 summit was held in India, so this becomes important. So what is the outcome of such summits? You should know all this and make your own notes for that and keep it ready. Try to include diagrams in each of this. So this is it for international relations. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. See you again in my next video. Bye.